Hi friends! Welcome to Much Ado About Gaming. I hope you're having a great week. I apologize for that delay. As soon as I was about to get started, the doorbell rang, so I had to run downstairs and answer it, and we're all good now. But hello, welcome to the show. Hello, Hulk Reality. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jessa Blackthorne, and today we are going to, of course, talk about another great WizKids board game, and today's a super fun show. We're going to be unboxing again. As you know, last week we unboxed Dungeon Scrollers. Today we are going to be unboxing an upcoming game called Bequest. This game is super cool, and I'll talk about it more in a minute. But first, I want to say I hope you guys had an awesome Halloween, if you celebrated. I really love Halloween. I talked about that last week. I also, I had a great birthday. It was really great, awesome, and now we are here. We are hanging out. We are unboxing. It's going to be great. So, what is Bequest? So, before we get started with the actual unboxing part, let me just talk a little bit about Bequest. So, Bequest is a game where you play a supervillain, and you're a group of supervillains who are dividing up the estate of the world's most villainous supervillain. And the goal of the game is to collect the most points in terms of, assets and power. And at the end of the game, the villain with the most points, the most assets, the most power is the winner of the game, and they get to become the next great supervillain. So it's a pretty fun game. We actually live tweeted it last week on the WizKids Games Twitter. So if you go look at our Twitter account, you'll see all the tweets from when we were playing. I think I won. I have really good beginner's luck with our board games, it seems. I keep accidentally winning. I'm trying to win, but I'm not, gunning for winning. So it's always pretty fun when I win. So it's super cool, and we have it here today to unbox for you on the show with our new top-down camera that we debuted last week, and I'm so excited that we finally have a setup figured out. I really like it. It's really cool, both the camera and the game, so yay. So the game kind of uses a combination of a few different mechanics, the most prevalent ones being set collection mechanics as well as I cut, you choose mechanics. So during the game, each round, players are going to get a stack of cards. They're going to split up those cards into two piles, and then they're going to give one pile, then they're going to give the pile to the player on either side of them depending on which round it is. So which player you're cutting with, you're doing the I cut you choose with, will depend on the round. It changes, it flips every round. So one round you're doing it with the player on your left, one round you're doing it with the player on the right. GM Workshop, yes, it also has drafting mechanics, and I will get to that in just a second. So you split your hand of cards into two piles. You do the cut, and you place your piles with whichever side player you're working with. And then that player, of course, chooses which pile they want to keep, and you get to choose the other pile. You take the other pile. So you can split the piles into any number of cards you want. I believe it's 5 cards. So if you want, you could do 3 and 2. You could do 4 and 1. You could do, I think that's 4 and 1, 3 and 2. Yeah, I'm really bad at math. I'm sorry. So it works out really well. It's a really fun game. I really like it a lot. And then after everyone has made their decision on cutting their cards and which cards they want to take, there are cards called keys, and they are in every round. And the players who get the keys during the round will get to draft from the center of the table even more powerful cards that give them different abilities. So it's got a number of different things going on in it, but it's such a fun game, and it's really got some interesting strategy and depth, because it's not one of those games where it seems like the winning strategy is obvious from the off. It's going to be different every time you play, and I really like that about it. But without much further ado, let's get ahead to this unboxing. So as you can see next to me, the game is 3 to 6 players, and it's for ages 10 and up. It's pretty easy to understand, and it plays in 30 minutes. So, and it's $49.99. And the box, you can see it's kind of a standard square box. I would say it's pretty comparable to games like, I would say maybe like Seven Wonders in terms of like how much game you're getting in the box. So that's something to keep in mind. It is a quick 30-minute game, but there's so much going on and such awesome components that this is a great size box and a great price point for it. Now, as you can see, we have played this copy. It's not a brand new sealed copy. This is the copy we played last week. So it does have our scoring sheets from our last games. Oh yeah, you can see that I won. So this is what the scoring sheet looks like, and this is for the different... This is for the different types of cards you can have in front of you. So see, that's my Jessa. And then I had 53 points, and I won. So this is what it looks like inside. You have, first, of course, the rulebook. And the rulebook is really well designed. It has a lot of really nice, clear instructions and a lot of imagery in it to help you really understand. I did not have a very hard time understanding this game. I found it to be very straightforward and very, like I said, very easy to understand. So I really like it. And then I like the lore on the cover too. So I'm gonna read it to you really quick. GM Workshop. Well, I wasn't gonna say anything. Transcript begins. Hello, is this thing on? Ahem. Behold, the last will of Dr. Schism. That's me. In the event of my disappearance as a result of capture, explosion, failed experiment, atomic miniaturization, botched teleportation, time travel paradox, etc., I, Dr. Schism, being of sinister mind and not bad body, leave one bequest to my underlings, the gift of petty conflict. My minions must squabble among themselves to take control of my super-villainous empire. Whoever can cut the best deals, deviously split my treasure, and scheme their way to the top is the true worthy heir to my legacy. Me, Dr. Schism. Now to try my latest super smart serum. Transcript ends. So there's your lore right there. There's your background. And super, super fun. The art on it is also really fun. The art is featured elsewhere in the game as well. But you can see there's Dr. Schism trying his serum and maybe realizing that the serum was not the best idea. So moving into the game box, I should also mention that there are characters in the game, and I'll show you that in a second. So the characters are technically used in the advanced mode of the game. They just have different powers and abilities that help them. But I really like playing the game with them, so it's really a matter of comfort. I did not have too difficult of a time understanding the game from the get-go with the characters, so it is really up to you whether or not you want to play with them. Aside from them just being flavor and like actually using their powers, but I really liked the inclusion of it. Maybe because it helped me win, but that's up to you. So these are what the different boards look like. So these boards will go in between each pair of players, and then this is where you would place your card cuts, so your A and your B. So this one is the magma chamber. I'm still getting used to the top-down camera. Wait, there we go. So you can see it. And what you do is, just like a lot of I Cut You Choose games, you decide, this is the garage. You decide, and we have poker chip token type things that place that you place face down, and then everyone flips them at the same time, so you can't change your choice, which is always nice. It's always really convenient. This is the war room. This is the library. This is the gallery where you can see the lovely paintings of Dr. Schism. I really love the art on this too. I think the art is absolutely gorgeous. The art is by Fiona Yap, who just did an incredible job on this. And the game design itself is by Marek. I believe it's pronounced Tupi, but it might be Tuppy. I'm not 100% sure. If you know, please tell me. Because I would like to be able to get that right. And then we have the laboratory. So these are, the place names don't really matter beyond flavor. It's really just so they're separate boards in between each pair of players. There's no, to my knowledge, in my experience, it's possible there's cards I haven't encountered that influence it, but to my knowledge, there's no mechanical impact with the locations. So that's those. So I'm going to show you the poker chips next. So there is, of course, this is the poker chip that tells you which direction you're doing the cutting and choosing in. So depending on which direction this is facing, all the players will go in the same direction. And these have, like, I'll show you real quick. These have a lot of weight. You can, like, hear that. They're really nice. They're really, really, really nicely made. They're metal in the center. So that's B. And so the back of them all look like this. That way you can place them face down on the board, and then you flip, and then I believe, and then you have A, of course, same thing. And there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 of these, which makes sense. Because it's up to 6 players, so it's each player gets 2 of the poker chips to make their determinations. So let me just have the list of components in front of me so I call things the right things. So these are actually referred to as decision tokens. That's what their official name is. And then you have this, which is referred to as the round tracker. Yes, they're like Pogs. Yes. Pogs are a little before my time, but I am familiar with them. Okay. So now we have, this is the game board. So this is going to be how you track both what round you're on, and also this is where you are going to place the cards when you do the drafting element of the game. So each round has a drafting portion, and that's going to be where this happens. The thing about the drafting portion is that not every player gets to participate in it. There's always one player that's going to not get to play the drafting portion, but it changes every round. So it's possible you could get unlucky and you could miss the draft one round, but it's highly likely you'll get to draft at least once in the game. So, and you don't need to draft in order to win. You can win without participating in the drafting at all, which is really nice. So just so you can see it a little bit closer, this is how you track the rounds, and I'll show you the cards you use to do that in a second. But you place them above this board in the center of the table, and the game takes place over 5 rounds. Keep knocking into the camera because this is a very narrow kind of setup. This is more of the score pad. So this will also allow you to keep track of everything. Oh, and these boards are officially called splitter boards. Alright, so next up we have I want to make sure the cards are in the right place. Okay, these are some of the character cards. Give me 1 second here, friends. I was not the last person to put this away, and it's a little... I should have put it away better the last time we put it away. That's okay. Life happens. That's my motto. Life happens. I mean, what am I going to do about it now? So you have the reference cards, so these just kind of tell you what the value of each type is. So things are worth different amounts of money. So, for example, if you have this type of card, which I'll show you what those are in a second, it refers to influence, and I'll show you that when I show you the cards. But if you have the most, it's worth $15, and if you have the second most, it's worth $10. And then this type of influence, if you have the most, it's worth $20, but if you have the second most, it's worth $5. So you're weighing risk versus reward in that case. Hey Michelle, thanks for tuning in. And then we have the character cards. So these are, you don't have to use them. You're not obligated to use them. I really like them, and like I said, I found them pretty easy to understand. So there are different card types. Like I said, that's what's referred to on the back of on the reference cards, and they're double-sided. It also gives you kind of a sense of what's in the special card deck, and the special card deck is the part that you draft from. So you have the different characters, so I'm just going to kind of read these as you go, and again, I'll explain what these things kind of mean. So, Professor Emerald says, during scoring, this card counts as one treasure. So treasures are cards that are, when you get them, you place them face down, and they're just kind of worth one. But the more you have, I believe, the more they're worth. Just double check that, because I feel like that's correct, but... yeah, so your first face-down treasure card is worth $1, your second face-down treasure card is worth $2, and so on and so forth. So the more you have, the better you do. So you're starting as Professor Emerald with 1, basically, so you're starting at 2, and it doubles every time, or not doubles, it increases by 1 every time you add 1 to the pile. Next, we have Brainstorm. So one other element of this game that we'll talk about is evidence cards, and evidence cards give you negative points. If you have 3 or more of them, it's kind of like evidence of your misdeeds, so you lose money, basically, by having too much evidence against you. So if you have 3 or more evidence cards, normally they're each worth negative 3 points, or $3. But Brainstorm allows you to ignore all negative points of evidence cards if you have 5 or more. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. There are also ways, if you wind up with a lot of evidence cards, to get rid of them. That's part of the special deck. The Geminoids. I'm going to actually show you these a little closer. I didn't realize I was so far from the camera. So that's Brainstorm. That's Professor Emerald. Professor Emerald is who I played as when I played the Geminoids. So, schemes are another special type of card that are in the drafting deck. So, the Geminoids allow you to earn $3 per pair of Western and Eastern influence. So, the influence cards are the cards I talked about where if you had the most, it was worth one amount. If you had the second most, it was worth a different amount. So if you pair them up as you're playing, and you're playing as the Geminoids, you get to earn money for every pair of those you have. Yep, it plays super quickly in about 30 minutes, and it's a great amount of time for the game. At first, when I was playing it, I was like, oh, I'm sad this is going to be over so quick, but it felt really snappy when we did get to the end. So I really like that about it. So we have this one, which is probably my favorite name, the Buffler. He is a butler who lifts, as you can see. So he says, whenever you use a key, instead of discarding it, tuck it under this car. During scoring, earn $2 per key here. So the keys are discarded at the end of the round, because you're starting with a new deck of cards each round. But the Buffler allows you to keep those keys and earn bonus points for every key that you are able to get during the game. So next is the Auctioneer Buccaneer. The Auctioneer Buccaneer allows you to double the value of each of your Hideout cards. So Hideout cards can be positive or negative, but he allows you to double the value of it. And then the Master Mime is last. And the Master Mime allows you to copy any one of your gadget cards. Gadget cards are basically a special card type. As you can see, I'll show you the reference card again. They are over here, and this is where where one of the set collection elements comes in. There are 3 different types of gadget cards, and you're trying to collect sets of them, and the more you have, the more money you earn. So that's really cool. So those are the character cards. I also want to say this insert's really nice. You can't see all of it. Wait, there you go. But it's really it's really well done. So next up we have the which set is this? Hang on one second. Okay, these are the special cards. I'm gonna do these last. All right. Oh, that's right. Okay. So next up, we're going to go through the asset cards. So there are 150 of these total, but they are in multiple decks. So the decks are split by round, and you actually switch the deck every round. So these decks are placed above the the game board, and you pull them at the top of every round, so you can see what round you're on. They're all portraits of Dr. Schism, and they have the nice little tick marks to tell you exactly what round you're on. So they look like this. So as you can see, this is an evidence card. So if you get 3 of them, it's -$3 for every evidence card. So that's what the evidence card looks like. I'm not going to go through all of these individually, because if I went through all 150 cards, it would take forever. Hulk reality. When we did it, it was random, but you can choose to pick the character out if you want. I believe in the rulebook, let me just double check this. It says to do it randomly, but if you really wanted to do a specific card, you could do it that way too. But according to the rulebook, it's random. So this is the Western Hemisphere influence. So the Western Hemisphere influence is the one that's lower risk, lower reward, because it's only $5 difference between having the most and the second most. And then the Eastern Hemisphere influence is the one that's higher risk, higher reward. So you get $20 for having the most and $5 for having the second most. So it's really about what kind of, like, how do you want to approach it. Here is another hideout. As you can see, it's worth $2, and it's got flamingos outside, which is perfect. If I was a supervillain, I would have flamingos outside my hideout, too. And here is an example of a negative hideout. So you can see it's -$1, so you would double that. So it's -$2 if you were to use the Auctioneer Buccaneer. You would only double it if you were using the Auctioneer Buccaneer, but it would be $2. And hideouts don't have anything special with them aside from giving you the amount of money on the card. Eastern influence cards like that. Yeah, you hold it and get extra tweets every turn. I'm not sure what you're asking, GM Workshop, if you could clarify if that, I'm not sure if that's an actual question. But here's an example of a gadget. So like I said, there are different types of gadgets. It's not actually that challenging because of the kind of spread of the cards, and they stack every turn. So once you get all your cards for the round, you lay them out in front of you, and then you keep them and you move into the next round, and you keep doing that. And so you're kind of like building up everything in front of you, and then you score at the end of the game. So you're getting new cards every round to add to everything before you do the scoring at the end of the game. So it's a little challenging, but my winning strategy. What was my winning strategy? My winning strategy was I was Professor Emerald, so I just went all in for treasures. I also got lucky and had the most of the, which influence is that one? The Eastern influence. So I got the extra $20 from that. But you can actually see, yes, you're like building your villainous empire by splitting up Dr. Schism's assets. So if you look, the J, that first column is me. You can see I won the Eastern influence, and then I really got my main bulk of my points from the treasure and that. And that's kind of how I won. So the gadgets, which again have set collection elements. So if you collect 4 of a certain type of gadget, you can get up to $15. But more than 4 doesn't do anything. So your sets that you want to collect are up to 4, because otherwise it doesn't really matter that much. More hideouts. Here is another type of gadget. So this would not set collect with the first one that I showed you, the tank. they are a separate set. So you would want to get a set of these two separately. And now here are the keys. Good. So, this is what the keys look like. There's a number 1 and a number 2 key, as you can see. So what would happen is after the round is over, all of the special cards would be out in the middle. I believe they're already face up when you start the round, so you know what they are in advance. Because I believe you set them right at the top of the round. Michelle, if you're there still, correct me if I'm wrong. But basically what you do then is at the end of the round, the player who has the number 1 key will get to go first, and they will choose one of those cards to pick up. And then the player with the number 2 key will go next, and they will get to choose another one of those cards to pick up. And that's how the drafting comes in, and how the keys are used. So they are very, very valuable. So that's round 5. These aren't in order. That's okay. So the number of keys, like Michelle said, is 1 less than the number of players. So this is 5. So this is round 2. And it's just the same thing. You can see it has the influence, the evidence cards, the keys, and then there are additional keys in the game, so if you are using, more keys, you'll have that option. And then this is round 3. I'm just going to show you the backs of the cards at this point, because the actual, cards themselves are not super, super different. But your strategy will change as you play. I almost went all in on gadgets during my game, and I changed my mind towards the end. But really thinking strategically and really trying to manipulate what your opponent is going to choose can be a really valid strategy too. So I made it difficult for my opponents to choose which set they wanted, because I would see, for example, I saw one of my opponents was collecting Western Hemisphere influence, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give you, 2 evidence cards, but you get to complete your Western Hemisphere, or you get to even more Western Hemisphere influence. And so it's like, do they want to, get that extra however many dollars, or do they but possibly be hurt by the evidence cards, or do they want to not do that? I got very lucky in my game too, because someone kept giving me evidence cards that I had no way around. And then towards the end of the game, I managed to pick up a special card, which I'll show you in 1 second, that allowed me to get rid of evidence cards, or get rid of cards in front of me. And I immediately did that, and it's probably the reason I won. Hulk, no problem. It's all good. So this is round 3. He's now drinking the serum. And then we have round 4, where he feels very powerful, but he's not about to feel powerful in 1 second. And then round 5, where he is sick. But that is those are just the regular round cards, so I'm gonna move these over, and we're going to look at the special cards now. So these are the round cards. It's got the standard card symbols and everything, like we talked about. So the special cards are a little bit different. There's multiple functional things. So an example is they have lackeys. Lackeys are used immediately. They have different abilities. So lackeys, this one, for example, allows you to sell up to 2 of your gadget cards. So what that means is that you get money for... hold on. I didn't sell any cards in my game, so let me just triple check because I want to word this correctly. That means the player flips over the card being sold, and it's now valued as treasure. That's what it is. So if you used this lackey, the motherboard, and You had gadgets in front of you that you're like, okay, these are probably not going to help me win. Or if you're like me and wanted more treasure, you can just flip them, and now suddenly they count as treasure, and that could also be a way to allow you to build up your set of treasure, which is what I did. This is actually, I believe this is the one that allowed me to get rid of the evidence cards, because I turned them into treasure and they helped me win. So then you also have these, which are combined Eastern and Western influence, so it allows you, you know, if you're really building out that, it allows you to get more of each of those at the same time. There's also double gadgets, so this counts as 2 of that particular type of gadget. There's a scheme world order, so it basically gives you extra points for combinations of different cards. So this one requires you to have $8 for each of your sets of cannon, power core, and vehicle. So every set of 4 that you have, or $6, I can read numbers. $6 for each of those sets. So that would, for example, give you an incentive to go for that as your thing. This one is double of just one type of influence. So this one is double Eastern Hemisphere influence. This one is interesting. It's a combination of 2 different types of gadgets together on the same card. So this would count towards both types of sets. Here's another example of a scheme. Like I said, schemes allow you to score. You pick both, so they automatically are worth both. It's not you choose one, it's they're worth both. So this scheme allows you to get $4 for each of your crater or shack cards. So craters and shacks are hideouts that are normally worth negative points, but this allows you to turn them into positive points. So these special cards are really valuable. It's all one deck that comes out and you just pull from during the game. But they can really be helpful in getting you to a win. This one, he's a lackey called Manual Override. And he allows you to sell 2 of your hideout cards. So there are a lot of really great ones. I'm trying to find my favorite one really quick. Hang on. No, this was the one that let me win with the evidence cards. Get rid of the evidence cards. The lackey is Goatee. He's a lackey that's a goat, and he eats 3 of your cards. So he lets you just discard 3 of your cards right off. And he's great. GM Workshop, I would love to do something like that. I'm hoping to be able to do something like that soon. It's just the way my setup is. It's a little bit of a pain to do streaming games. I'm actually hoping very soon, though, to bring on Jeff Engelstein, who designed Super Skill Pinball and Super Skill Pinball Ramp It Up, to do at least a streamed play of that. I would love to do a stream play of this as well. It's just figuring out how to get the tech working, because I stream the show from my house. Not at our office, so I don't have a ton of space in my house to just be like, hey, coworkers, come over and let's play. But once I figure that out, we are going to make it happen, because I love that idea. I would love to be able to do that. But that is all of the components of Bequest. I have now made a mess with them, but we're going to keep talking while I put them back together. The game is a lot of fun. This is one that we've kind of, at least in the office, we've been talking about it for quite a while. It's been one that we've been kind of buzzing about, and we are so excited to finally be able to bring it to the table and bring it to life. I remember when we first got this game really early on, we were discussing like what were going to be the different names for the villains, and we all kind of threw out ideas, and what we came up with was just super fun. And it's such a fun little game. I really like the theme. I like the kind of supervillain theme. I've played other supervillain themed games before, but I think of all of the ones that I've played, this is probably my favorite. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's really flavorful without being so flavorful that it loses the mechanics. And I think that's what I really, really like about it. Why are these backwards? I don't know. But it's a fantastic game. So if you have the opportunity to play it, or sample it, or demo it, definitely do so. The game is coming very, very soon. It's coming out on November 24th. So the end of this month, which is amazing, and I really hope that you'll pick it up. You'll pre-order it at your friendly local game store or online. It's such a great game, and it's so worth it. It's a gorgeous game, great for game night, great to have on your shelf, and to bring out. It's easy to follow, easy to understand. So even someone maybe who's not a big tabletop gamer, I think would get a lot of enjoyment out of this, particularly the strategy elements of it. You can also, there's negotiation elements of it, because you can negotiate what you want to put in your splits. You don't have to do it silently if you don't want to. If you want to, like, say, hey, if you give me this, I'll give you this. And so there's no law, or no law. There's no rule that says that you can't discuss it, which is, I think, also a lot of fun. So, I really hope that you enjoyed this unboxing of Bequest. I hope you enjoyed the new unboxing format for the show. I'm really excited to finally be able to do these unboxings. I've been trying to do them for a year, and I'm glad I finally sorted out the right way to get the tech set up so we could actually do them reliably, and knock on wood, my camera continues to work for me and doesn't decide to stop working. One more thing before we close things out for today's show. Put this right on top so everyone remembers that I won. Yeah, Michelle, I totally agree. I think that I Cut You Choose is a really underrated mechanic, and I'm really glad that this game really does it in such an interesting way. So Bequest. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week. If you are into RPG products, don't forget that tomorrow is Model Behavior, also hosted by me. And tomorrow I will be unboxing Pathfinder Battles Return of the Rune Lords, along with giving you a fall update on WizKids RPG upcoming products. So that includes Warlock tiles, that includes all the RPG stuff coming specifically from the WizKids line. But with that, I hope you have a wonderful week. If you are not tuning in tomorrow, I hope you are staying safe. I hope you are staying healthy. I love you. WizKids loves you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.